I
Yeah.
wonder if our lovely Jocelyn is now ready. Jocelyn, where are
Hello,
you?
darling. Can you hear me?
I
Can
can
you see me?
hear you.
You
There
see
you
me?
go.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. That was a beautiful presentation. And Angela, you and I are kindred spirits.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, Michelle, do I have permission to share my
Do.
screen?
You've got permission. You've
Uh,
got permission.
Awesome. Kind of gonna leave the whole Google, gonna Googleize it for here for a little bit just for ease. My name's Jocelyn Gordon, and I'm a conscious conception coach. I actually identify as a fertility and preconception coach, and it is my heart's deepest desire, as well as God-inspired gift to support making motherhood dreams come true. Beyond that, I also can see birth and pregnancy, parenthood, and motherhood as ecological and spiritual paths. So with that, if I could even just illuminate maybe on what Angela shared earlier, I heard her mention one of my favorite words or two words, conscious conception. I wanted to just illuminate what that means holistically, preconception preparation, conscious conception, and this ecological perspective of pregnancy, birth, motherhood, and even conception. Before I do that, I will share a little bit about me. I've had the blessing and honor to receive the invitation to be Michelle's fertility coach. What a delightful journey with Michelle. And yes, I am now an honorable auntie, and I can't wait to meet this sweet little girl. I am the mother of two young queens, one 23 and one who is 8. I myself just rotated around the sun and celebrated my 50th birthday. My second baby was conceived at just a few days short of my 41st birthday. And although I did not experience a fertility challenge, I can say that prior to her birth, given the big gap, there was a big gap, right? There's 23, 8. There is a gap there between those births. And in that gap, I had the opportunity to combine my knowledge as a massage, yoga, and dance therapist with life coaching trainings on my own self in preparation for my own future conception, which when my eldest was about 5 or so, I knew there was another baby coming. I just didn't know when. And for those of you who are maybe in that mysterious place, whether you're married or not partnered, or and yet you know you want to be a parent and that is part of your destiny. I just want to, I'm a testimony, as well as these other amazing women to hang in there and hold that vision. So what did I do in those 10 plus years of knowing I was going to have this other baby, but not knowing when, how, or with whom? Well, I embarked on a path of what I consider and many others conscious conception. And conscious conception includes preconception preparation as a holistic path of preparing your mind, body, and spirit, lifestyle, home, and relations for the miracles of pregnancy and childbirth, along with the responsibilities of parenting and householding. Anyone who knows me knows I write in really long sentences, but that's just my cadence. But really, this long sentence means that it's a holistic journey of preparation. Now, conscious conception, being that it's holistic, naturally includes sacred sexuality, the spiritual components of conception and co-creation, and communication with the energy wishing to be born through you. And in my coaching, because I am not in charge of who gets pregnant or not, that is in God's hands. For some reason, I have received a knack or blessing for supporting women over pregnant in achieving and maintaining healthy pregnancies. I have to give glory to God. It is that's in God's hands. Now, what I can say in this journey of supporting women and their partners is that conscious conception will lead to clarity. And clarity to me is like the perfect soil for whatever is next to birth in your life, whether that be a baby, a book, a business, or an amazing community like Michelle created during her conscious conception journey. So I just want to say that, as mentioned earlier by the first doctor on the panel, not all fertility journeys lead to that baby, but they will lead to a beautiful garden and a flourishing life. So again, hold that vision. A conscious conception journey can help you collaborate with the energy wishing to be born through you so you can create a most welcome environment for their arrival. I realize that that may sound a bit woo-woo, and it probably is, but this is the spiritual component. And when aligning with the creator and the creative components of conception, I've observed that sometimes, things need to be put into the right place. It's not about being type A and like having all your checklists, checked off, but sometimes babies wait until things are a certain way. And I don't mean perfection. So in this conscious conception space, it's also an opportunity for you to become more vibrant, more aligned in your purpose, in your health, and your lifestyle. So a conscious conception journey may address the following: fertility challenges and delays, stressors related to trying to conceive. The beautiful doctor spoke to those earlier. Confusion about whether or not you want to parent or bring a child into the world. My very first clients were really excited to embark on this journey with me. We went on a 3-month journey. And at the end of it, they said, we realized we don't want to have children. And if I had nails, I was biting them. And I was like feeling like just a lot of stress, pressure, and failure. Like, oh my gosh, God, you told me to do this, but really, I don't know what am I doing? And did I fail this couple? That said, they felt so much relief, peace, joy, and optimism to have come to that conclusion, to accepted the next chapter in their walk together, and just to be able to show up to their family in particular and their friends and their business partners and be like, you know what, we're not doing that, but we are moving forward excitedly into this next phase and creative opportunity. So it was actually cause of celebration. And that's when I, realized that this is about clarity and how potent clarity is. Generational patterns, where are we? Of pain and disease. Angela talked about that. Part of the work that I do when I'm working with clients is what I call looking under the hood. So there's a pathway of coaching called somatic coaching, which is body-centered. And our body is very powerful, as mentioned earlier. And there is that body, mind, spirit connection. So there are many times where we can have conflicted feelings that, in essence, can sometimes affect our physiology. An example, I want to be a mother, but I'm scared of being an abusive mother, like my mother was to me. I want to get pregnant, but I'm terrified of what pregnancy is going to do to my body. I want to get pregnant, but I'm concerned about how it will affect the intimacy with my partner. So these conflicting feelings can sometimes, create like havoc that's under the hood in the subconscious. And together we look under that hood and we address them and have those conflicting parts speak to each other and reconcile. So a conscious conception journey can help with a disconnection from the sexual, spiritual, and energetic components of procreation and co-creation. Because as mentioned before, when we get into a rigid place about our reproductive wellness, we can forget to have fun. We can forget to commit to our juiciness. We can forget to have fun in our sexual, sensual playtime. And so it's important to reconnect with that, because it calls what I consider our reproductive goo. It causes that reproductive goo to be infused with like feel-good hormones and excitement about life, which contributes to fertility. So I don't want to take up too much time But I want to acknowledge an ideology of polarity related to yin and yang. And yin energy is said to be feminine, dark, magnetic, attractive, inward focused, creative, and peaceful. And right now, our lives are generally speaking the opposite of that. You know, we have intense and multiple demands on our time. We have the impulse to achieve, which overrides the natural state of being. And daily tensions can dry us out. So when our nervous system is fried, we're dry, you know, and that can affect, again, our reproductive goo and the juiciness connected to life. And this stress can impact our quality of life as well as our cellular, genetic well-being and longevity. But there's good news. I mentioned cellular connection, and that leads to epigenetics. I skipped that slide just in the interest of time, but we have habit change, as Angela mentioned. We can change our habits. We can create and integrate lifestyle medicine that addresses stress, that improves our health, which is so important before conception. One, to make sure that when ovum and sperm do meet, those cells are at optimal health, but also to help us save money. Like Angela mentioned, if we start early with our preconception awareness, we can save thousands of dollars and seasons of heartache and disappointment. So we can change, we can reverse these dry periods, and we can embrace an opportunity for intervention, which is generally speaking 3 months or more before trying to conceive. So preconception preparation can improve personal well-being and help nurture the next generation of health. I mentioned earlier that conception, pregnancy, birth, motherhood, parenthood, these are not just individual issues, but these are ecological issues. And as one of my mentors, E.B. Robbins says, peaceful birth contributes to a peaceful earth. So we want to consider in this preconception stage how we would have liked to have been brought into the world and how we can start to cultivate that for these children who are coming into being. So I feel complete with that. Thank you.
I have a question. And if our technician can have both ladies on the screen, that'd be wonderful. I have a question. So as a coach, you just mentioned that there's no guarantee that if you coach an individual that they will definitely have a baby because it's all in God's hands, right? And with the couple that you worked with, after 3 months, they shared that they didn't want to have a child, which is fine. But how do you handle the disappointment with couples or an individual if they've been working with you for 3-4 months and they're still unable to meet that goal? How do you as a coach handle that? Because I'm under the perception that you are on this journey together. You are literally holding each other's hands and you want them to cross the finish line, but they're unable to. How do you handle that feeling? And how would you describe it?
Mm-hmm. You want me to go first or?
Sure.
I have to say that I personally, the first thing I want to say is identifying and then re-identifying what the finish line is. So naturally, when you invest in a fertility coach, your finish line is, yes, I want to have a baby. That's my goal. However, as we embark on this journey of holistic fertility, which, as I mentioned, is reproductive health as well as radiant vitality and health, we get a broader perspective of what that is. So that's, you know, having the energy to do the things that you want, having the energy to support people, not just yourself, but people in your family and your community, having the energy to be your most creative, vital self and create a legacy. Legacy is not just connected to the babies we bring into the world, but the gifts we share that live on beyond our time on this planet. So most of my clients come to a space of clarity around that, which gives them hope around life. Like they're not necessarily focused on this so much as the outcome. But with a very recent client, it took over a year. And I just got a text 2 days ago that she's pregnant, supported. Yeah, they're 6 weeks in, their baby, is snugly in the womb, and the uterus implantation was successful. They did use reproductive medicine to support. And so sometimes it just takes a little longer. So staying in contact, being encouraging, and supporting the other things that are beautiful in one's life is important.
Awesome. So thank you. And I think maybe your other guest has.
Oh, I'm here.
I
Oh,
see
you're
it.
still here.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure, Angela. I'd love to hear your response to that too.
Yeah. Well, I think I've worked with a lot of practitioners, and this is a very common problem that they take on personally, is to hold responsibility for their clients. So I like to say that you have a responsibility to your client, but not for your client, right? So we can hold that space for them and hold the hope, and we can see a bigger vision for them. But ultimately, they're responsible for their own situation. The outcomes, we don't always know. But we also put all of our faith in these doctors that also don't, I mean, fertility treatments, they're highly unsuccessful. I mean, it is 40%, I think, is kind of the average for IVF success. And it goes down as people get older and more complications, more diagnoses. So we don't we put all our eggs in that basket. We can, but at the end of the day, do we hold that doctor responsible for having no outcome that of success? Not really, right? Like we say, oh, it didn't work because of outside circumstances. So I think the best way to think about it is, you have this responsibility to them, but not for them and not for the outcomes, because we don't know what happens when we work with a client and they go home, right? They could be doing literally nothing, right? Like their biggest doing is showing up to just get coached, which is a big deal. Just showing up is a big deal. But like, we don't know what they're doing at home. We don't know if they're, driving by the drive-through every day after work and drinking soda and like doing all the things. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's like just looking at what role do you want to play, and do you want responsibility for all of these outcomes? I mean, that's a lot to carry. And I think that's also a new, when people are like green practitioners, as I call them, right? They're just starting out. A lot of times it's like an information overload. They want to give people tons of information and try to help them. And, they really want to help because they haven't seen a lot of success. So the validation is there, they kind of want this validation of a success. But I think at the end of the day, it's like we have to take care of ourselves as coaches and make sure that we are doing our best to hold space for them to be the best version of themselves. But it's their responsibility to play their part.
Indeed. So I'd like to thank you both for sharing your insight. And like I had shared earlier on, um, my journey involved 3 rounds of IVF, and the first 2 rounds were not successful. And on the third round, I decided to get a coach, and that was me digging deeper. I've heard Jocelyn make reference that people find a coach when they're on the last leg of their journey and they're desperate. And I could say I was at that space, in that space. And so I recognize that the journey that we went on really and truly helped me align my mind, body, and spirit. I'll share one experience that really just brought it all home to me. Um, Joyson had said to me, "You need to connect to this baby that's coming to you. You need to connect." So, with my meditations, nightly meditations, I'd ask the question, how am I going to know if I'm going to connect to this child? And it wasn't until several weeks later that after one of my meditations, the name Mishiko came to me. and I almost fell over because it was a name that I had given to my first love. You know, when you're, 16 years old, you got your first puppy love and you do your X and O's. Well, I had written a name down and it was Mashiko. And once we broke up, the baby went out with the bathwater. I totally forgot about that name. And then through this process of meditating, it came right back. And that is the moment that I knew that the meditation worked, the coaching was working, and I had connected. And the name is a female name. And here it is. I have a baby girl, and her name's Mashiko. And so I just want others to be aware of the power of coaching. It's not fluff. It can definitely make all the difference. And if you know someone who's impacted by infertility and they may need a coach, definitely feel free to refer them to some of the ladies that are on this panel, because I do believe that they have the tools that can help them reach their goal. So with that said, ladies, thank you so much for spending your afternoon or some of your morning with me. We definitely will be in touch, and I wish you all the best in the near future.
Thank you.